At the beginning of the movie recaps, it is stated that there is a society that traps people and locks them in a horrible room. The room is called Escape Room and contains several puzzles that must be solved or people will perish. This game is popular among rich people because they like to watch and bet on it. From the previous Escape Room, only a girl named Zoe and her boyfriend survived. After that, Zoe vowed to catch the horrible games and ban them. A man is then shown who is an employee of this company and has created an escape room for the company. He has a wife and a daughter, and his daughter's name was Claire. His wife doesn't like his work and tells him it will have a negative impact on our daughter. That's why I want to divorce you and leave with my daughter. But her husband says keep calm and I am busy now, I will talk about it later. His wife is sitting in the room after taking a shower, but 3 iron bars lock the room and she understands that her husband has locked her in the escape room. The temperature in the room begins to rise rapidly. He asks to open the door, but no response. And on the door is shown a riddle because of the steam, and stone was her answer. She sees rocks there and finds a magnet from them. And he immediately understands that he must remove the iron bars from the door through this magnet. He starts removing the bars one by one. But the temperature in the room was rising even from 240 degrees. This caused her skin to melt and she died due to the high temperature before she removed the last rod. Years later, their daughter Claire is shown as an adult elder, but her father has locked her in a room because she is an expert in creating escape rooms. Her father turned her into escape rooms. Claire's father was furious that Zoe had survived his game. She asks her daughter to do a difficult escape room so that this time Zoe won't escape. He created an escape room for Zoe on the plane because he knows she will be arriving by plane to New York. Zoe and her boyfriend are shown at the airport and went to New York to unveil the company. Zoe senses that something is wrong, so she refuses to fly the plane and they run away. Now they move to New York in a car and spend the night in a hotel. Zoe's friend felt that he was in the escape room. In reality, there was nothing there and it was just his nightmare. They moved to the place where the thief ran and grabbed Zoe's chain. They reach the station while chasing him, but the thief escapes and traps them on the train. Zoe senses that something is wrong because there were only 6 people on the train. She goes to check the driver's cabin, but none were there. The doors were locked, their box separated from the train and moved somewhere else, and everyone panicked. That box stops in an empty tunnel. Zoe's friend tries to open the train door, but it is locked and they realize that the company has found and trapped them here. What was surprising was that the other 4 people present in the train had already won this deadly game earlier. Means this is now the game of those champions. The current in the train spread through the machines and now they can't touch any iron thing. The boy finds a bag under the seat containing towels and a door handle, through which they open the driver's cabin. Inside, they discover a chip machine and must insert 9 chips into it. It was written, "Flaws in the poster must be found." They see the poster and it's missing the E and they start looking for spelling mistakes. Zoe notices that there are a total of 26 cliques on the train, and there are 26 alphabets, which means they have to pull the handle of the missing letter. The girl finds a huge piece of rubber in the sack and divides it between them so they can pull on the iron handles to avoid the current. Zoe pulls the handle and a chip falls out and she puts it in the chip box. Then they pulled the handles of the missing letters and tokens came out. The current also increased due to pulling the handles. Now the boy finds the last 3 missing letters, but before he can tell anyone, he accidentally holds the iron pipe. He dies because of the current. Zoe sees that the word is welcome back and says the last 3 missing letters to the others. Zoe's friend immediately pulls the handles. They insert the token into the machine, and as this happens, a portal opens and they escape from there. They come to the elevator that took them deep into the ground. When the elevator stopped, they told everyone about themselves. One of the boys was a priest, one of the girls a writer, and another a nurse. Now they exit the elevator into a huge escape room. Passing through here, she has to move in the front door, but the writer steps onto the property without a second thought. Thanks to that there was a laser, but luckily no one dies and they get the writer out of there immediately, because she stepped on the wrong tile and the laser stops as a result. Now they have to walk that way through the door within 10 minutes or the door will close. If they step on the wrong tiles, the laser will finish them off. The priest gets the key from the lollipops and Zoe moves to the lockers, pulls out the key, and walks over the counter. The nurse and the writer also find the key and go to open the locks. Zoe's friend notices the number on each lock, but there was a lock with a name written on it and they start opening the lock. When it opens, many sharp diamonds fall out and Zoe hurts her finger when she touches it. The girls also discover blank bills from that lock, and after a while the ATM light comes on and now they want its code. Zoe's boyfriend realizes that if he pours Zoe's blood on the notes, he can get the code. But the laser turns on when the nurse steps on the counter to give notes and the nurse falls because she is afraid of it. The laser also shuts off when it falls. The priest gives these notes to Zoe and they get the code when they are covered in blood. When he enters the code into the ATM, the 3 clocks actually stop at a different time. This was a clue for them to navigate the correct tiles. The hour hand told them in which direction to move, and the minute hand told how many steps he had to walk. The priest walks 12 steps according to the needles. He placed the lollipops on the tiles one after the other so that everyone knew the correct path, but crossed the halfway point with the needles, because the next tile is pressed like a button and another cabinet immediately appears in front. A puzzle will appear on the tile he was standing on. They start finding the code, opening the locker in a panic. They have little time, so the priest moves forward and trusts God, even though the others forbid him. But he ignores them. The laser activates, his head hits the table and he passes out. The girls take his foot off the wrong tile and the laser stops. The writer has understood the puzzle and therefore keeps moving the cabinet handle. It opens and this time a map comes out and Zoe places it on the design made on the wall. Now they find another way. Zoe stops here and tells another path to the others and they leave along it while taking the weak priest. Zoe also rushes to the door. He moves out just in time before the door closes, and now they've crossed 2 escape rooms. The priest also comes to his senses and then they move forward in the 3rd escape room. It was like on the seashore. The writer sees the camera, picks it up and takes a picture. And they see the ship in the picture, but there was nothing in front of them, so they start to find the ship. Zoe's friend finds a tool in the garbage that they can use to find iron things, and through it he finds the ship everywhere. Zoe finds 2 statues here, and one of the statues had strange looking shells placed over its eyes. The tool echoes through the sand and they dig up the place and bring out a massive thing tied up with ropes. But the rope breaks and the sand immediately swallows the rope. They understand that sand turns into swamps, in which the nurse gets stuck and is later swallowed by the sand. The priest jumps into the sand and ties a rope around his waist. He saves his sister, but the rope breaks again because of it. He dies of being stuck in the sand. The sand was turning into a marshy area, so they moved to the cabin, but when they moved inside they found the exit was inside the fridge. They need to find the code to open the fridge. There was a button, and when Zoe pressed it, the light in the outbuilding came on. He understands that they will find another clue up above the building, so he moves up the stairs. And Zoe sees a message through the binoculars that was "I can't see you," but the spelling of "I see" was wrong, and it was "see" instead of "I see." She tells everyone this clue as she screams, but moving down she sees a round door. Zoe's friend has the clue. Therefore he rushes to the statue that has seashells on its eyes, then with difficulty pulls the seashells from its eyes. It was actually a fridge code, and for that they open the fridge, they can get out of there. Zoe removes the round door and there was a secret passage, and she understands that if they move inside they will be out of the game. She calls the others, and besides the writer, her friend and sister move in with her while they trust her. Now they were moving up the stairs. The nurse moved up, but the stairs moved in before Zoe's friend moved up. He was buried in the sand when he was falling down, and Zoe feels bad when he sees it. Now they came to the place by a secret way. They find a ladder to get out of there. They climb the ladder and realize that they see cars around them, that they are on the road. It means that they were actually out of the game, but there was no such thing. And the writer rushes to them and says that this is the 4th escape room and there will be acid rain any minute. We have to move into the shop to escape, but it is locked. The writer moves upstairs and finds the key there. He opens the lock and moves the shutter, but finds another door in front of the shop. As the time runs out, the acid rain starts, but cover comes down on them and they save. The rain stops and the 1-minute timer starts again. The phone rings in the box, but it was also locked, and Zoe says if we get the acid we can open the door and melt the lock. The nurse finds a thing that doesn't burn with acid and finds a vial. The rain starts again as time runs out. He stands under the cover while he places the bottle there. When the rain stops, he melts the lock with the collected acid and the door opens. Zoe picks up the phone, but no one answers, and she learns about the car from the poster. He realizes that the car parked there is their next clue and starts searching the car. She notices the car door is locked, and then it starts to rain as time runs out. The girls have an umbrella and give it to Zoe. Zoe escapes acid burns. Zoe sees 3 rings on the poster and asks the nurse to make the phone ring 3 times, and then picks up the phone. This makes the nurse do the same. The car door opens and Zoe is immediately in the car. After the rain, the girls also try to move inside the car, but the door was locked and the phone booth door also closes automatically. The shelter was also moved inside and they have no other way, so they died of acid rain burns. Zoe started screaming when she saw this deadly scene because she couldn't do anything to save them. Meanwhile, the seat opens and Zoe went somewhere, and Claire's father, who made the escape room, feels that something is wrong. Because Zoe didn't come to the last escape room where she has to come, but went somewhere else. He understands that his daughter Claire has to do it to save Zoe. On the other hand, Claire's friend brings Zoe. Then Zoe understands that she saw Claire, which she used to create the escape room. Claire tells Zoe, "I'm doing this on my father's orders. My father locked me in this room because my mother died. I called you here to help me and take me out of this room." Zoe says, "I don't trust you, so why should I help you?" He says, "I made a mistake in the escape room on the coast when your friend was swallowed by the sand and survived." He is safe in the room, but sees Claire's father's companion put him in the last escape room. It was a room with temperature. Zoe's friend starts to solve the puzzle of this room, but if he doesn't solve it soon, he will end up as Claire's mother. Claire says, "Zoe, I can save your friend through my father's computer, but I have to leave this room for that." Zoe begins to solve a puzzle from the wall, but it changed in seconds, making it impossible to solve. Claire tells my dad that I will never be able to solve this puzzle by myself, and Zoe stands in a place where Claire can't see, and she finds the code to open the door and Claire comes out. Meanwhile, Claire's father comes with a gun. She starts squeezing her daughter's neck, but she pushes her father away and locks him in the room she was in. Claire rushes to her father's room and turns off the last escape room from her computer where Zoe's boyfriend is stuck. He was saved anyway. Zoe asks Claire, "Where is my friend?" And she'll say, "She's in the building you went to first. And all your escape rooms are played in this building. I locked all the people who made this game in there. So you turn them over to the police with the evidence, and I'll turn my father over to the police later." Zoe arrives at the building in a car, and the police and ambulance were present. The dead bodies of the players of the game were also brought out, and the police also arrested the persons who controlled the game. Zoe also finds her boyfriend after Claire comes out to her father. Here the true face of Claire reveals how dangerous she is. In fact, she has been insane since childhood. Her habits like hurting others and being mean to everyone developed from childhood. Her mother was going to send her to a mental hospital to make her okay. That's why she ended her mother in a temperature escape room. Yes, Claire ends her and then ends her father here too, so she can be admired when she creates the more deadly escape rooms. She tried to be innocent from the beginning, but she was crazy enough to murder her parents. This is where this movie recap ends.